Happy Christmas Eve to those of you that celebrate. Welcome into this special edition of Ask Andrew Live. And yes, even though it is Christmas Eve, we do not take our foot off the accelerator. We are indeed live, and I am here with you for a really cool half hour talking about weather, of course, all things weather related. We're going to have time to answer your questions, and we'll talk about the weather pattern as well. A lot of you have been asking, when are we eventually going to see a return to some more winter-like weather? That's one of the things we're going to be diving into, in addition to answering all your questions too. Welcome if this is your first time. We're happy to have you on board. If you're a regular, welcome on back, and thanks for spending your Christmas Eve, a little bit of time with me anyway, here on this Wednesday. First timers, if you're curious, how do you get your weather-related question to me here in the studio? The easiest way is to text the number that you're going to see pop up at the bottom of your screen. It is 309-304-0888. Send your question right to that number, and our awesome folks on the digital team will make sure that question gets to me here. This is also being simulcast on our Facebook page as well, so welcome Facebook friends. You can pop your question right here in the chat if you'd like to. I'm also monitoring that live right here on my phone. I hope you have enjoyed the warmer temperatures. It has been absolutely amazing to see the rapid melting of the significant snowpack that we have had build in across a good chunk of the region. Now most of that is gone. Outside of a few piles here and there, it is indeed going to be a green Christmas for us here in the Quad Cities this year. And that's kind of where I want to start off with, and then we'll go into a little bit of a weather discussion on what's to come for the rest of this week, including some shower opportunities today, a little bit of drizzle and fog tomorrow, and then looking at another cold burst of air coming in for early next week. So let's start with what's going on Christmas-wise, because yes, it is Christmas Eve. Tomorrow being Christmas Day already, and before you know it, we'll be in 2026. Take a look at this, though. Of course, it is a green Christmas this year. We are not expecting any snowfall in time to make it a white Christmas for the Quad Cities. It shouldn't be too surprising that we're not going to have a white Christmas this year. The reason being, if you look at that number there on your screen, that 38%, that's the number of Christmas Day years that we've had snow on the ground, at least since the early 1990s. It has not been many at all. You can also see we get in this really interesting pattern where we get a white Christmas, and then it's usually followed by about 2 to 4 years of green Christmases. We did the same thing back in 2017, where we had a white Christmas then, and then we had 4 green Christmases that followed. Most recently, 2022 was our last white Christmas here. Now we're in this another stretch of 3 to 4 years where we will not be having a white Christmas. And that includes, of course, this year, 2025. So an interesting stat there. Who will have a white Christmas this year? Well, if you're traveling well north, I'm talking well into parts of northern Iowa, most of Minnesota, even a good chunk of Wisconsin still has snow on the ground as we speak, and actually several inches of it. Yeah, way to the north here is where you'll find that. The rest of the region, got to go out here to the Intermountain West, also into the mountains of California. Now the Northeast, including nearly the entire state of Maine, also has a really good amount of snow on the ground, including Vermont and New Hampshire into upstate New York. Some good snow coverage there. But here, it's just been simply, well, it's way too warm to keep any snow sustaining itself. We had a gorgeous day yesterday. Actually got more sun than I was anticipating, which isn't a bad thing, and we snuck into the 50s. We will not do that today, and the reason being, you can see on the satellite here, the view from space, we have got clouds galore stretched across the region. Now, there are some thinning areas of clouds here in southeast Iowa, so you may see a little sun there, perhaps also into northeast or northwest Illinois, excuse me. I'll check in with one of our cameras there in just a second because it looks like a little thinning, but thicker cloud cover coming in from the west. And you can see there's been a couple little blips on the radar picture here. That's where we're seeing some shower activity. We'll see some of that work its way in here as we get into the afternoon. But let's see what the sky conditions are doing at this hour. We'll take a tour of our hometown camera network. There's our Clinton camera, where you've seen a little thinning of the clouds here yet this morning. Kind of curious to see what's going on in the Sauk Valley too, so we'll head to our Rock Falls camera, where you have got some sunshine going. And it is likely, I bet if we go to our Dixon camera, Dixon, Illinois, there on the campus of Sauk Valley Community College, Yes, you also have some sunshine going. So nice to see that. We will lose it this afternoon as that thick cloud cover comes in, and eventually we'll be tracking some of those showers as well. Temperatures have been cooler this morning. You know, this was no surprise. I mentioned that most of us were likely going to drop into the upper 20s, right around 30 degrees. That's exactly what we did. And that is because we brought in this easterly wind, which is not only a dry wind, but it's also a cooler wind too. So that gives us a little bit of a cooler start this morning. That means this afternoon, we're likely not going to climb out of the 40s. Instead, we'll be limited to the mid 40s. Eventually, we'll start to see those showers work their way in on a scattered basis this afternoon. And then what I think happens as we go into tonight is those showers will transition into more of a drizzle. Also, some fog will be possible. Now, notice our overnight lows. We're not dropping below freezing, so I do not expect any icing. Shouldn't cause any travel problems. Roads will just be wet at this point, and tomorrow we're still expecting temperatures to be well above the freezing mark. The only problem with getting well into the 50s tomorrow is you see we still have all this thick cloud cover, and there also is the possibility of this right here, early morning fog. If we get the early fog and also some drizzle with that, that holds our temperature down to about 50. And I still believe our northernmost hometowns will have 40s, while our southernmost hometowns will easily be in the 50s as we go into tomorrow afternoon. So we'll go to the high resolution future track showing, some of those scattered showers as we go into this afternoon. This evening that becomes a little bit more widespread, and I think that's more of a drizzle event as opposed to showers through tonight. A little bit of fog will start developing too into Christmas Day morning tomorrow. Interesting little feature coming off Lake Michigan. I'm not sure if you just saw that. I'm going to re-rack this, and I want you to pay attention. Right there, northeast Illinois, that is kind of a lake boundary with air coming off of Lake Michigan, wind switching to the northeast here, while we're southeast ahead of that in the Quad Cities. Now that boundary, as it comes in here tomorrow morning, that's what will likely enhance the clouds and also develop a little bit more fog for tomorrow morning. Whether it's going to be dense or not, that's something we'll keep an eye on. But right now, I don't plan on a whole bunch of impacts from the fog tomorrow. Just some light fog is all I'm expecting right now. But again, if that changes, we'll let you know. Heading into Christmas Day afternoon tomorrow, a few peaks of sun possible Illinois side, then clouds will thicken up, and after we hit the 50s, we'll introduce another opportunity for some showers later tomorrow evening into the very early morning hours of Friday. We'll go to the 8-day tracker. It really is continuing to be a fairly boring weather pattern, if you will, especially considering where we were last week when we had about 4 or 5 weather impact alerts. We don't have any impact alerts, at least for the next 8 days, because there just simply is no impactful weather other than the potential, again, for fog. But we kind of have to take that a day at a time because you have to see what it develops into. But yeah, other than that, it's really quiet. Temperatures stay warm right through Friday. Saturday, we're still in the 50s. As I said earlier this week, hold off on that car wash until Friday or Saturday, because that's when I can guarantee the pavement's going to stay dry, and all that work that you put into maybe detailing your car a little bit more, you'll be able to enjoy that a little bit longer. You notice into next week, yes, we're going to get cold again as we go into Monday, Tuesday, but temperatures will bounce right back up into the 30s after that before one more round of cold air comes in for New Year's Day. This cold air, nothing compared to what we've been dealing with the last few weeks. This is more mild, and the reason for that, as we talked about yesterday, if you were watching on GMQC, is the fact that the polar vortex is forecast to strengthen, which is good news. That keeps the really, really nasty cold stuff bottled up to the north. So some very, very good news when it comes to the overall pattern right now. A couple more weather things, and then we'll dive into the 2 questions I answered this week, and then, of course, your questions. So I want to take a quick peek and not only the temperature pattern in the long range, but also the jet stream pattern in the long range too. Because as I said earlier, a lot of you are wondering, when are we going to return to that active winter pattern? When could we see that next round of accumulating snow come right back into the Quad Cities? So I want to show you what the jet stream is going to do here. And this is the next 10 days, so almost 2 weeks worth of jet streams. In order for us to get a storm system that's going to bring either rain or snow in the Quad Cities, we want to see the jet stream do what it's doing in California, but we want that to be farther to the east. So what do I mean by that? Look at the big dip in the jet stream that's ongoing here to the west on the west coast. You've likely heard us talk about flash flooding, lots and lots of moisture, an atmospheric river. This is where the storm track is, and right now that storm track is shifted way to the north. So we're not getting a lot of moisture, and we're also not getting all of these big storm systems. What we need is we need this dip in the jet stream to go further east and park itself about right here. And I'll put this in motion so you can see how the jet stream just kind of evolves here. Here we are going into the upcoming weekend. This is December 27th. So now we're talking about Saturday into Sunday, and we do start to see a little bit of a southward placement here in that jet stream. And we actually do get a jet stream dip, and you're seeing that right there. The problem is, look at where the dip is located. It is to our northeast. So it's going to be the northeast United States that's going to be getting the blast of really, really cold air into early next week. Meanwhile, as you can see here, we're just on the edge of that stronger jet stream, but no doubt the northerly flow is coming back in. And right now, we don't see any storm systems embedded within that flow. This is where the storm systems are going to be tied up in. But again, we don't have that dip to the west of us. It's too far east. Let's keep going now further out into the future. Let's talk about New Year's Day. We'll put a pause on that. You can see the jet stream really hasn't changed a whole lot. Still, the dip in the jet stream is to our northeast. That's where the cold air is. That's where the active storms are going to utilize that cold air to produce some snow. So areas in the northeast really haven't had a ton of snow so far yet this winter, but it looks like they're going to catch up in the winter weather department through at least New Year's Day. So if you have travel plans, it looks like as we transition ourselves post-Christmas into New Year's, it's the northeast United States that's really going to be the active zone for not only the cold, but also for some snow systems. Meanwhile, here we are New Year's, we have what we call this split flow. You have two separate jet streams. That means very quiet weather, very mild weather will be coming back in after the first couple of days of the new year, and it looks like that's what it's going to stay like for the first few days of 2026. That split flow continuing to develop. We have no dips in the jet stream to our west, so still no opportunity to get any sizable storm systems in here for at least the first few days of January. Here's what that temperature pattern looks like. We'll take you into the weekend. There's our cold blast of air, but look, the worst of it is to our northeast. We have a little cold air, but not significantly cold air. That will stay away from us. We'll just get a little bit of cold air here into early next week. And then you see that moderation in temperatures heading into the first few days of January. You're seeing a lot more of these warm colors coming back into play while the northeast remains cool. So the northeast is likely going to be the snow zone for the next couple of weeks. I do not, by the way, think that our winter is done whatsoever. There are some folks in the weather community that are saying, you know what, I'm throwing in the towel. I bet winter is over after this. I do not believe that's going to be the case. I think we still have some snow, and we definitely still have some cold to go. Why? We're going to go back to past history and look at this. This is the Accumulated Winter Season Severity Index. This is an awesome product put out by the Midwest Regional Climate Center. And what this product shows us is how easy or how difficult our winter season has been so far. And then what we're going to do is, based on the season right now that we've had so far, we're going to go back to previous winter seasons and try and predict what the rest of this season could potentially look like. So it's no surprise, as of today, December 24th, 2025, this winter would be considered extreme. Are you shocked? Because I'm not. And you see that here with the graph. That black line is well into that kind of fuchsia color, if you will. At the top of the chart, this has been an extreme winter, though we have made some progress here recently. Because we've had these warmer temperatures, we are starting to bend the line here. Notice we're getting a little more flatness to the line, and if we keep that, we'll be going into a severe winter, and that's likely what we'll go into in early January. However, if you look at the past 10 seasons that are very similar to the season that we are in right now, and I know this is a hot mess here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of manually adjust a couple of things so you can see what this looks like. I'm going to zoom this in for you so you can see what this graphic is showing us. So then, this is a graph based on the 10 most common seasons or seasons that are like the ones that we have going on right now. So for reference, I'm going to make this even bigger here, so bear with me. I put the color coding chart here on the left. What you're looking at, the black line is the current season. All of these blue lines that you're seeing on the graph here, those are the past 10 seasons that are similar, like the ones that we are in right now. Now you notice a few of them went from an extreme winter all the way to, and we stopped this at March 1st. Again, March 1st is meteorological spring. Winter is over then in terms of the seasons. But you notice a couple of them have actually gone from extreme to mild. Mild being the warmest you can have on the chart. There's been another one that's gone to moderate and another one to average. But the general consensus, the greatest number of lines on this graph have either remained in extreme or they have remained and gone down to severe. So either way you look at it, the probability is much higher that this winter will continue to either be in the extreme category or it may ease up just slightly if we can keep things quiet in January in terms of big cold and snow, and may ease us back into the severe category. So what that tells me is that clustering of those lines in the extreme and severe, we're not done with snow and we are not done with cold. In order to keep that line in that extreme and that severe category, you have to keep getting snow and you have to keep getting cold. That's what this severity index measures. This index is based on not only temperatures, but it's also based on snowfall amounts and how long the snow stays on the ground. So all of those variables tell me, if you go by past history, we're not done. There will be more winter to come. So you get to enjoy this little break that's going to be coming in for the first half of January. Things will likely start to pick up as we get into the second half of January. We'll go to our 2 Ask Andrew questions we had really quickly this week, and then it is open floor. You get to come on in and ask your weather-related question. We had a great one this morning, and if you pay attention to what the sun does this time of year, it makes a whole lot of sense. So let's bring up the question I had today. Again, it was a good one, and it was from Lisa in Kewanee asking, why does it appear that the sun is rising in the south lately? She's on to something. So the sun angle really varies a lot this time of year. It's much different than what we see in the summer. And here's why. The Earth's axis is tilted. So right now, we are in the winter solstice. We had that this past Sunday. What that means is the vast majority of the sun's energy is currently focused south of the equator. It's not at the equator or north of the equator where we live, it's south of the equator. So take my orange line here as an example of the sun's energy. Where is the least amount of distance that would have to travel before it hits planet Earth? Right now, it's here, south of the equator. Now, when we get into spring, that is when, the first day of spring there, the spring equinox, that is when the sun begins to see its energy move a little bit further north, closer to the equator. When we get to the summer solstice, that's when the sun's energy is further to the north. So it's all about the angle of the sun. And look at how much this changes. This time of year, we have the lowest sun angle out of the entire year. That is why the sun appears that it's more in the southern horizon than more so in the northern horizon. It's still rising in the east and setting in the west, but it's actually further to the southwest this time of year because of that sun angle being so low. Now, once we get into June, we have the summer solstice. That's when you'll start to see that higher sun angle, and the sun appears that it's more directly overhead as opposed to an angle in the distance. It's a big jump this time of year, and that low sun angle also doesn't do a whole lot to warm us up because you're having to spread all of that sun energy across a farther distance. It's not taking the direct route that it would typically in the summer. It has to go a much, much longer distance to get here to the ground during the winter months, which is why we have winter here in the Quad Cities, or at least we attempt to have winter here in the Quad Cities. The other question I had, this was on Monday, dealt with this kind of the similar thing. What was the difference between meteorological winter and also the winter solstice? The difference between those two, it's a matter of dates. And it's also a difference between when temperatures rise and when temperatures start to fall. So meteorological winter starts on December 1st. It starts much earlier than the winter solstice because December 1st is typically when we start to see our average daily and overnight low temperatures start to decline significantly this time of year. So winter solstice coming up behind that, of course, December 21st. That has to do with the angle of the sun, the position at which the greatest amount of sun energy is in relation to the entire planet. Whereas meteorological winter, that starts on December 1st. That's the difference between the two. It's mainly a date thing. They're two different dates, and of course, two different temperature patterns as well. Meteorological winter based solely on temperatures for the most part. Great questions this week, too. If you've got one that you've got tossing in the back of your mind, go ahead and throw it in the chat. You can let our folks know as well with that text number that we have at the bottom of your screen. We'll get that there. I'm going to pull up our chat and see who is with us this morning. Probably going to be a light crowd. I understand it's Christmas Eve, but certainly that doesn't mean you take a foot off the gas pedal, like I said earlier. Our good friend Billy is in the chat this morning. Billy, it's good to hear from you this morning. Hope you got all your Christmas shopping done and you're excited for Christmas tomorrow. He's popping in to say thank you to the entire Storm Track 8 weather team for everything this year, from answering questions to saying that you're the Mr. Clinton weatherman back in April. Yes, you are. You are definitely the Mr. Clinton weatherman. And we so appreciate all of your reports. And that's the thing. You know, radar can tell us some things. We can see some things on satellites. But when big weather is going on, we really appreciate your reports exactly where you live. You let us know what's going on. You are our ground truth, and we absolutely appreciate it. Whether it's a big thing from a report of wind damage or damage from a tornado to even just a little thing as, hey, the rain just started and now it's switching over to snow. We appreciate all of that information that you feed to us, and it really helps us paint an accurate picture as to what's going on. So, Billy, thank you for your help, and also thank you for tuning in each week. I really, really appreciate it. Hope you have a Merry Christmas, and we look forward to picking up right where we leave off as we go into early next year. It's going to be exciting. We also have Riley in the chat with us this morning. Probably our usual joke. I bet there's a joke in here. And there it is. Yet, what do you call a snowstorm in a magical land? The Blizzard of Oz. That is a very, very good question. I love that. It's so cool. By the way, Riley, the morning team here, GMQC, I'm excited for you to see what pops up tomorrow morning under the tree. I think you're going to be very, very excited. Let us know what you think next week when we do the New Year's Eve edition of Ask Andrew Live. Looking forward to that. Let's see. She's got a question here too. How does orographic lift alter precipitation distribution on the leeward side of terrain? That is a fancy question. So orographic lift, a quick lowdown on what that is. Orographic lift is when you have winds running into the side of a mountain, and then because of that mountain gaining elevation, the air has nowhere to go but up. So what you'll most likely do is you'll form clouds, you'll form rain, you most oftentimes will form snow. But as that lift approaches the backside of that mountain and that lift begins to sink, or that air begins to sink, you actually get a whole bunch of downward motion. Not only can that enhance winds, but most oftentimes it causes that area of snow that were to develop in the mountains to collapse. So you really don't see a whole lot of precipitation, whether it be rain or snow, on the backside of mountains. It's more on the front side because of all that lift. Then as that air sinks, going past the mountains, you get sinking action. Think of it like an area of high pressure. That's exactly how those form and how those are also encouraged and also impacted by our varying elevation across this country. Yeah, the mountains have a direct impact on low pressure development, high pressure development. All of that stuff is influenced by the mountains because, again, it's such a large landmark and such a large object that it heavily influences the weather. So great question. I wish I had a graphic to go along with that, but it's not oftentimes we get to talk about something like orographic lift or lift via mountain because look around at where we live. It's pretty flat other than some giant hills here and there, but those are not large enough to really induce any significant weather. at least here in our region. But that's a fantastic question. Chris and Kayla from Walnut, do you know the largest number of tornadoes we have had in December? Merry Christmas. That's a great question. December, by the way, is not immune from tornadoes whatsoever. I know I've got at least one graphic in here that I believe shows the average number of tornadoes per month in the Quad Cities. And I'm going to poke this up really quickly here just to see if I can pull it up, and there it is. So tornadoes by month, it's not impressive. I mean, we're talking again about this being winter, so you're not going to see a big spring or a very large fall-like outbreak. I can tell you that the largest number of tornadoes in Iowa was back when we had the winter derecho, the December derecho, and I believe that was back in 2019. Let me do a quick search. It was not that long ago. And that actually broke the record for tornadoes. It was actually in 2021. It broke the record for tornadoes in Iowa, where we had, let's see, 120 tornadoes reported across Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. So that December 2021 derecho was a very big, what we call outlier event, in that A, it was the first time we've ever had a derecho in December, and B, it was also the first time that we had that number and magnitude of tornadoes during the month of December. So this is not something we've seen before up until this event in 2021. It is not common at all. And it's easy to see why, too. If you look at the graph here, it's less than 100 tornadoes by month when you look at both Iowa and Illinois. So Iowa is in the red, Illinois is in the yellow, and both of those are below 100. Now, if you go to January, this is the lowest point of the year on the graphic here, followed by February. We won't step things up until we get into the spring again. But yeah, December 2021, that was the big, big year that we had that derecho, and I'll never forget it. Never seen one in December, at least since we've been keeping records here. And that goes all the way back to the late 1800s. That was an impressive event. Let's see, we have, Merry Christmas to you too, by the way, Chris and Kayla from Walnut. Mary says the barometer is going to be horrible. I know, this time of year, the pressure is all over the place. It's up, down, all around. Randy is asking, could a strong sun flare affect active weather patterns? Yes, when you are in a very strong solar cycle, you do end up impacting the weather patterns. You can also impact temperatures as well. We are still coming off of a very, very active solar cycle. And that is not surprising because you've heard us talk about the northern lights breathlessly for the last how many months have we talked about the possibility of being able to see the northern lights. I have an old graph, and it's probably not up to date in terms of right now, but it shows you the solar cycle that we're in and how this progresses. So what's neat about the sun is it's cyclical. These cyclical, that is, these solar cycles, they repeat themselves every X number of years. So right now, 2025, we're sitting about right here in terms of the peak of our, you know what? I think I just changed the setting on my monitor. Let me close out of that. Maybe it'll go back to where I want it to go. And if not, that's okay. We can pull it up full screen here. Yeah, we can go full screen, and I'll show you. Actually, I just fixed it. That's okay. Full screen is good because I can actually get my arrow on here. So we'll take my solar graphic full screen one more time, and I'll lose my little pointer finger to show you what this cycle is. So 2025, we're currently approaching off of the solar maximum. So that is right about here. You see how we're starting to now go down in the amount of solar activity. So this is called cycle 25, aptly named because of where we're at. Cycle 26 will begin about the year 2030. 2030 is when we will likely reach our solar minimum. So you're still going to hear us talk about the northern lights for the next few years. And then eventually all of that will go away and you won't be hearing about the northern lights for a few more years until the next cycle picks its way back up. But you can see this repeats itself every X number of years. We had another really powerful solar cycle back in 2015. So it's about every 10 years or so that we see this active cycle repeat. So as you can guess, our next active solar cycle would not be until 2040, but it absolutely does have an impact on our weather pattern. All right, we have one from Noah, Charlotte, Alexander, and Tony from Walnut. Merry Christmas. We love watching you. Do you prefer snow on Christmas? We do. I used to, but I find the older I get, the more impartial I am to having snow on the ground. It is nice to have it for scenic purposes on Christmas, Eve and Christmas Day, but honestly, I'm with the majority of folks here who have said, you know what, I've had enough snow after Thanksgiving to last me for the remainder of winter. So I'm with that same sentiment. I'm just glad at least things are still green around here. At least the grass is still green. We've managed to get some moisture in there. It's been able to green itself back up a little bit. So it doesn't look completely ugly outside. It actually doesn't look too bad. We are at the bottom of the half hour here, and that's all the questions. We're all caught up. I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in here on this special edition, this Christmas Eve edition. I wish all of you a Merry Christmas. I hope you get to spend some well-deserved relaxation time, catch up with some friends, some family members around the table, enjoy a nice meal. Whatever it is your family does. Some families go to the movies, some families eat out. Everyone has their own tradition, and I hope you're able to share in that tradition in your own special way. We have one more Ask Andrew Live episode to go for the year, and of course that is next Wednesday, which is New Year's Eve. I will be here for that one. Vacation time is all over, so I'll be here for quite a while, next couple of months. I don't think I'm taking any time off until we get to March. So unless I get sick, I should be here for a good remainder of the next few months here before we take any more time off. But yes, I am grateful for each and every one of you. I hope to see you next week. If I do not, hopefully the week after. So Merry Christmas, Quad Cities. If I don't see you next week, Happy New Year. And hopefully God's bountiful blessings on you and your family as you gather this Christmas holiday coming up tomorrow. I will not see you for the 11. Meteorologist Morgan Strackbein is in as I head south to Knoxville for our family Christmas gathering, but I will see you here back on GMQC on Friday morning. Have a great day.